So today is going to be a big video. We're going to try and finalize the rear suspension forever. We're going to take this from looking like this to looking like this. So the bearings are already in the trailing arms. We're just going to need to press the rear hub back in, which is what the brakes and the wheel attaches to. Parking brakes go on, and then start putting the shocks, torsion bars. Essentially, we can start actually forming the rear suspension and getting it back to where we can get the engine in, car back on the road. So let's get that hub back in here. Now there is a standard order of operations for this. It goes brake guard, brake assembly system, bearing plate cover so the bearing can't back out on itself, then the hub, and then everything else. So ask me how I know. I've done it wrong 3 times now. So I've got to fasten the e-brake spring assembly with basically these, what do you call these? Like lock or angel nut hair nuts? These things?
Oh yeah.
Angel nuts because wing nuts. Because we have a little bit of a broken spring in here. So the parking cable fought me a little bit, but that's because it has a bit of a broken spring in there, but I think it should be perfectly fine the way it is. Luckily the pressure from the cable is going to hold the whole mechanism together, but maybe later in the future, if I ever go in to do the brakes, maybe I'll replace it. We'll see. All right, these are hand torqued. What's it called? Torqued by braille or whatever. Torqued by braille. Should be good. All right, the hub is arguably the most stressful part of this job because it is very much, if it goes in and it goes wrong and you have to take it out, the whole bearing is destroyed in the process. So you have to get a new bearing, got to push the bearing back in, got to take all this off. This can't go in sideways or wobbly. It needs to be completely centered and flush so that it's not like doing this as it goes. Yeah. And when you get it, before you start pressing everything in, get it kind of as, it'll kind of want to sit where it wants to live. Give it a little up and down, make sure you're in the right spot. But it wants to be flush as much as possible. But just know, make sure you check 3 times before going, because once you go, if you need to pull it back out, you got to destroy the bearing. You got to do it all over again. So once it's in, it's in. And there you go. No grinding, no nothing. It's, you know, make sure you look at it nice and even right here, which it is. Perfect.
Good to go for the life. There we go.
Good. All right, now we get to go with the torsion bars. One very important thing when putting in the torsion bars, both of them are stamped. Left is the driver's side, right is the passenger side. They have to go in on the right side. Otherwise, if you swap them, they are most likely going to shatter. And grease is your best friend when it comes to these. Okay. The grease is also great not only to protect the bar from any type of corrosion or weather that might get inside this enclosed area, but for if you need to take them out again. A lot of the times these end up getting rusted, whether in the spring plates or in the torsion housing on the inside of the car. So the grease will help keep it nice and lubricated and not rust it together. Now, the awesome thing about these is these are from Rennline and they are an adjustable spring plate. Really the main thing you want to do is get the angle of these correct. Now, I know they're going to be very far off, so there's going to be plenty of adjustments needed to be made, but if you can get in the general ballpark of each side, over there I have it at, I'll have to go check actually, I forgot, I think it's 23, but it's all indexed via the splines, so once you get them on, you just have to make sure everything is splined correctly. They have an adjustment just right here, so you can get the spring plates in a rough kind of space, the same kind of degree on each side, and then you have this adjustment bolt right here that you can go up and down, I think a whole inch either way, which is great, and it allows you to do all the fine-tune details without having to remove all of this, take it out, respline it, put it back in, measure again, and having to keep going back and forth. So these will be a lifesaver. Because I'm not using rubber bushings on this, I'm using metal races for a more like responsive feedback feel in the suspension. You know, this end cap plate slides right over and butts up to the studs without having to like use really long bolts as leverage bolts. So check and make sure they're all bolted in. Sweet. There you go, suspension in place. All right, moving back over to the other side with everything basically in place, we can attach spring plates to the trailing arm. I had to go to the hardware store and get the equivalent nut and bolts because the previous suspension was so shot that the rubber bushings failed, which then made the bolts right here basically sag into the aluminum trailing arms, which then rounded off all the threads because it was, you know, basically just all of the weight was on these right here. So I go get new ones. All right, just cinch these up to hold them in place, just to have everything under its own power and not sagging from gravity. All right, and there's everything all pretty much mocked up. Nothing is all tight or torqued or anything like that. I just wanted to get it on there so it's not loose and free roaming in the garage, but that is pretty much the suspension. It is fully updated now. It is to 2026 specs. No more rubber bushings. We're going with like metal races. A lot of good things in the suspension back here that I'm very, very excited to get back on the road and test out. But while I was doing all this, my dad was working on the other project that I have later in the future, but let's go see what he's doing. All right, so while I was working on the Porsche, my dad has been out here on the 1964 Cutlass because I'll admit that I'm not the best at starting and running this all the time, so battery was dead. But also the battery terminal was essentially, the negative was getting chopped up by the alternator belt and everything like that, so it needed to be replaced anyways, so we did all that. He's just been routing all these wires and stuff like that, and then hopefully it fires right up, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, this is the 64 Cutlass. It's I've had this for a few years now. It's just been sitting back here waiting to get all fixed up. I've got a bunch of the body panels that needed to be replaced that have rust, like in the driver's footwell, the trunk. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done with it, but American muscle car that you can't go wrong with, right? So that is the Oldsmobile. Nothing like the sound of American muscle, but that'll be one of the next projects up whenever I get around to it. Once this gets back on the road and I can start doing all the fun things with cosmetics, and I can start doing other videos and diving into the Cutlass. Doesn't really need much, but needs a few things. But other than that, suspension in the rear is done, suspension in the front is done, brakes are done. I've redid the brake lines. I just got to rebuild the caliper down here, put the brake rotor on, get the wheels back on, and then dive into the engine. It can't go on the ground, it can't be on its own. Wait until the engine is back in the car because it will destroy the bearings. So that is next. Super happy, super proud. One step closer to getting it back on the road. Thank goodness. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Next one will be hopefully a little bit more fun.